Espresso is tiny, strong, misunderstood, but it's the foundation of coffee culture around the world. Many people think that espresso is just extra strong coffee, but in reality, espresso is a very specific brewing method. This is going to be a deep dive into espresso, from the history of it to where we're at today, the science, best coffee beans, all that. Here we are, 20th century Italy. Espresso is born. In 1901, In 1901, Italian inventor Luigi Bezzera patented a design to brew coffee faster than any traditional method. His idea was to force water through finely ground coffee through steam pressure. This dramatically cut down brewing time and made a more concentrated cup. The word espresso itself comes from the Italian meaning of pressed out, which is both referring to the process of the water pressing out the coffee and in which the speed of the coffee is brewed. Luigi designed espresso to be quick, both in consumption and in brewing, and this fit Italy's fast-paced cafe culture. Espresso machines were large, they were steam-powered. Because these machines relied on steam pressure so much, temperatures were very difficult to control and the machines were not very reliable. However, in 1947, a major innovation occurred. Achille Gaggia, which you'll recognize that name if you're really into espresso machines, invented the first lever-pressed espresso machine. This new design increased brewing pressure, which resulted in a crema, and this crema is the golden layer of foam that sits on top of the espresso. This is where we mark the beginning of the modern age of espresso. Lever machines allowed the barista to control the pressure by pulling down on a piston. This resulted in higher pressure, around 9 bars, which led to better flavor extractions and the invention of crema. After these lever machines were made popular, pump-driven machines emerged. It removed the physical strain for baristas by pulling on that piston, which resulted in more consistent shots throughout the day. Today, pump-driven designs dominate both commercial and home espresso machines. During this time, espresso spread far throughout Italy. Italian immigrants brought their cafe traditions to the rest of Europe, the Americas, and beyond. After World War II, cafe shops began to flourish worldwide, with the espresso-based drinks serving as the foundation, making cappuccinos, lattes, and countless other coffees. We'll talk about more of those later. Let's get into the science of what espresso really is. Espresso isn't a bean or a roast. Espresso is a brewing method. Espresso involves forcing hot water through finely ground coffee around 90 to 96 degrees Celsius through a compact puck of finely ground coffee. The grind size plays the most critical role in espresso. Coffee that's ground too coarse will let the water go through too quickly, resulting in an under-extraction and bitter and sour taste. A grind that's too fine will slow the water down too much, which leads to over-extraction. This shot will taste bitter and harsh. If you're going through a journey of espresso, understanding the science of this will really help you. So these are really good tips on dialing in your espresso at home. Another element of a good espresso shot is puck preparation. The puck preparation is how we treat the coffee grounds. Baristas will weigh out the coffee, get the appropriate dose, and then put the grounds in the portafilter, distribute them evenly, tamp them evenly with a good amount of pressure. This creates a uniform bed of resistance. Uneven tamping or distribution causes channeling. This is where the water finds an easier path of resistance through the coffee, leaving parts of the coffee in that puck under-extracted. Shot time is also important. The coffee should be extracted for between 25 and 30 seconds. Within that window, the water extracts coffee's acids, sugars, and bitter compounds that make the complex espresso shot. A great test, as we talked about before, is the crema, the golden standard of espresso. This is a thin layer of golden foam that floats on top of the espresso. It's produced by emulsified oils and carbon dioxide trapped in freshly roasted coffee beans. If you're struggling with crema, this is the biggest indicator that your beans are not fresh. While crema doesn't affect taste as much, it does impact the aroma and provides texture, what you'll often hear people in espresso called the mouthfeel. And because of these two elements, crema is a crucial part of a good espresso shot. And you can get crema on any type of machine. Home machines that cost $100, commercial machines that are in the $20,000, $30,000 range. A good espresso shot can be experienced on any range. A decent home machine can produce the same type of quality espresso as a commercial machine can. With commercial espresso machines, you're paying for consistency and volume output. Commercial machines use heavy-duty electrical pumps, large boilers for temperature stability, and multiple group heads to prepare several drinks at once. These machines are built to deliver dozens to hundreds of shots every day for cafes. On the other hand, home machines vary widely. Entry-level machines may use pressurized baskets or steam systems, while higher-end models will mimic commercial machines. And these home machines vary from manual lever machines like we had pre-1950, all the way to fully automatic machines that will grind the coffee, distribute it, tamp it, and pull the shot, all with the press of a button. But for home users, the second most important thing that you can get when doing espresso is a grinder. Everyone's home experience with espresso is not the same. Everyone uses different water, humidity changes, ambient temperature, the beans that you're using for your espresso. All of this changes your espresso shot. But if you get the core things right, that's all you need for a good shot. And a grinder lets you control one of the biggest aspects, and that's the fineness of your grounds. Not only is determining the fineness of your grounds unique to your machine, but also the shorter time between grinding coffee to brewing coffee, the better. Once you grind the coffee, a lot of the CO2 and gases escape the coffee extremely quickly, and that's where a lot of the aroma, flavor, and texture will come from. You can take the most expensive six-figure espresso machine and pull a shot on it with poorly ground beans that are too coarse or too fine, and you will never get a good shot. So this is the importance of the grinder. The grinder is crucial to a good espresso shot and good espresso crema. Investing in a reliable grinder can make more of a difference than upgrading your espresso machine. And since grinding the beans is such an important part, let's talk about getting the right bean. So traditionally, espresso is associated with darker roasts. However, in current coffee culture, cafes are leaning toward espresso with light medium to medium roasts. Ultimately, there's no wrong espresso bean. You can use any bean from any country in any blend, but the resulting shot of flavor and mouthfeel will be determined by the bean you use. The choice of beans is really down to personal preference. One thing to consider, though, is how you're going to be consuming that shot. Whether you're drinking the espresso shot how it is, or you're turning it into an Americano, or a latte, or so on. In fact, let's break down all the espresso-based drinks right now. Espresso serves as the foundation for the majority of drinks that you see on a cafe menu. Let's start with the most basic, and that's the Americano. Americano is just an espresso shot with hot water, and its concentration is a lot closer to drip coffee. However, the flavor is more complex in a completely different profile than you'll find with drip. Next, we have cappuccino. This is equal parts espresso, steamed milk, and milk foam. A traditional cappuccino is about 6 ounces. Next, this is probably the most popular one, and it's a latte. A latte is an espresso shot with a large amount of steamed milk, and it's topped with milk foam. A latte is a very milk-forward drink and is creamy. Another popular option for a latte is an iced latte. Instead of steaming the milk and putting milk foam on it, you just get straight cold milk. Cold milk, ice, and espresso shot. Next, these become a little bit more nuanced, and they will vary from cafe to cafe, but by the book, I'll give you the definitions. So a flat white is very similar to a latte. However, it's less milk, and it has a smaller microfoam on top, but it's just an espresso shot with steamed milk, but the amount of milk is lower than a latte. So a flat white has more of the espresso and coffee flavor. So we have a latte, which is a lot of milk, a flat white, which is less milk, and even less, we have a cortado. Some coffee shops are bringing this back and putting this forward, bringing back that classic coffee culture. Next, the macchiato. You might have heard of popular chains having a caramel macchiato. Well, the macchiato is actually a specific drink. It's not just caramel and vanilla sauce. The macchiato is just stained espresso, and that's what it means, stained. It's an espresso shot with a small amount of milk or foam. And again, this one is very nuanced, and cafes will do it differently from place to place. Next, we have a mocha. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It's just steamed milk, espresso, and chocolate. And to top it all off, affogato. This is espresso that's poured on top of ice cream and is served as a dessert. Each of these drinks use espresso as the base, with the amount of milk or cream or type of cream that they use, like ice cream, that balances the texture, the flavor, the bitterness, all of that. So earlier we talked about the optimal time of being 25 to 30 seconds for an espresso shot, but now I'm going to present to you 3 different ways that we can pull that espresso shot. So the first one is doppio. Doppio just means a double shot of espresso. So typically it'll be between 17 and 20 grams of coffee that's in the puck, and it'll yield about 2 times the amount of that. A doppio is the typical amount of espresso in most cafes today. Then we have varying lengths of how we pull that espresso. The first one is ristretto, and this just means restricted. So what we're doing is we're decreasing the amount of time that we're going to pull the shot. It's the same dose of coffee, but it's less water, producing a shorter, sweeter, more intense shot of espresso. And finally, lungo, which just means a long pull. This is the same dose of coffee, but it's more water, resulting in a milder, more bitter shot of espresso. There's no wrong way to make espresso. That's the beauty of it. We went through some of the history of where it originated from in Italy in the early 1900s to all the way of how the technology works, how to pull a great shot. This has been Every Coffee Explained Part 1. Stay tuned for Part 2 where we'll dive deeper into coffee. If you love or hate this channel, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Cabe with The Village Coffee, and remember, it takes a village and great coffee.